Our selection today, there is no other name.
There is no other name in The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have favor long among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear, than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It is a wonderful thing to be back in Stone Mountain. You would think I was gone for a month. I ain't missed but a week, but what it says, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I don't think I've missed a Sabbath in maybe 12, 13 years, so that felt a little strange to me, but that was because of the passing of my grandmother, and it was a whole side of my family that I never would have gotten to know. Only reason I did, because I got when I was about in the 9th grade, I got kicked out of school. I got kicked out a couple of them, but I couldn't go to a school in Atlanta anymore, so I had to go to school down south, and learned the whole side of my family, whole thing, learned a whole lot about me in doing that, and I really ended up getting a whole lot of things for my life that I still use today happened out of what was supposed to be a bad situation. And it just goes to show you don't really know all of the things that you think you know at the time that those things are happening. It didn't seem like a good situation at the time, but it really did make some serious changes and things in my life that I'm grateful for. And I want to, thank Brother Kish and Eliel and Elder Barak and Deacon Benea for holding it down while I was gone as well. So praise y'all for all you brothers. But we're going to begin today in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And the title of today's sermon is The Temple of His Body. Genesis chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 7 through 18. You find out a whole lot of other things too when you start seeing your other family members, and you start finding some of them crazy things you do. You see it in somebody else. You be like, oh, that's where I get that from. Yeah, I seen like a couple of those last week. I saw a couple of those. I was like, now look, I ain't never been around these people. You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't nothing I learned. That was something that was in the gene pool. He just handed that right down. But it never does occur to us that when Yahweh wants to do something, there's several times that we'll look in this book that you had situations, even dealing with Yohanan, where his mother was barren all the way up until she gets old. And then at this point, here comes this child, which is supposed to be this miraculous thing. But he had already put the two gene pools. He knew what kind of child he wanted for this job. And that's just this thing that we have to consider. So Yahweh says at this particular time and this part of the year, at this time, I need a certain kind of child. And he said, all right, how am I going to make that child? All right, I'm going to put these two gene pools together. I'm going to get that gene pool and mix it with this gene pool, and then that's going to give me a certain type of child. It never does occur to us that all of those things, goes into play. Yahweh doesn't have to do a miraculous thing every time. He already knows what he has created. He has already created a situation where those gene pools mix together to make certain things. So when he needs to make something, it never does occur to us that your mom and daddy might have only been together just to make you. That was the only job that they were supposed to do. He didn't care nothing else about nothing else that they were going to do. They could have jumped off a side of a mountain and exploded for all he cared. Like, as long as you make that child, I really don't care what you do after that. Because I need this gene pool to mix with that gene pool to make that gene pool. That's all I need. It never does occur to us that the greatest scientist in the world is Yahweh. He knows what he's doing. And the more I knew about or found out about my father's side of the family, I could look at him and my mama and say, oh, this was never going to work. This was designed. I don't see how this was going to work. But it did. It was used to make me. That was it. Their job was completed. So when you deal with that in righteousness and you think about when Yahweh needs a servant to do certain things, you might just think you're attracted to a certain person or a certain individual, and Yahweh is making them gene pools starting to do what it need to do, because he said, I need something for this. And putting those two gene pools is going to make what I need to make. Genesis chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 7.
And Yahweh Elohim formed man out of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into four heads. The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compassed the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone. The name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compassed the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goes toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden, to dress it and to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may eat freely, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it. For in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die.
All right. So then Yahweh has made a creation, but do understand this is not Yahweh's first creation. Understand that there's already a situation of the angels. There's already a situation of everything that is already in heaven that has already been created. So now there is this creation of man. He then creates a situation where man's habitation is a mimicking of the things that are in heaven. When you go to read about all of these things, about the gold and all of these precious metals and things like that, you're going to find that there is a very similar thing written about some things in heaven as well. So then man was given a small representation on earth of the things that were already in heaven. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him.
All right. It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make an helpmeet for him. So do understand, a lot of times when we read this, we see Yahweh by himself making a creation. And the part that we miss is there's a whole lot of people around as this is happening, including Lucifer. We like to take him out. We just like to put him in the scenario at various times. Do understand something, that when somebody is sitting there watching you put something together, they're also watching how they can dismantle it. This is what the nations do between one another. They call it reverse engineering. So they sit right there and they watch something get put together, and then they're trying to figure out, okay, how can I make that do something else? How can I bother that creation? So all they need to do is capture something from the opposite end. If they catch a Iranian missile, this is several times America has gotten into an issue. They send something, instead of blowing it up, they capture it. Then they go to the process of reverse engineering. They start taking it apart. Start figuring out, okay, this made that turn. This makes this push. That sends out the bomb that way. As they're reverse engineering, they're figuring out how to make their own. So don't try to take, we try to take Lucifer and then slide him in somewhere else. No. Understand, there's angels there, there's the beast there, there's a whole city. You got a king, you got a city, you got all kinds of things going on. We like to just picture Yahweh by himself and nobody else is around. No, there are people, there are entities around who don't really like this new creation. And all you got to do is have two kids in the house or one kid and bring home a new kid and watch it. Who this thing is? Who this? Who the new thing? The new kid don't you know what I'm saying? That the old kid don't necessarily like new kid right away. He's like, why you already have me? What you need this thing for? All they do is cry and poop. Yeah, but that's exactly what you did when I brought you here. No, I don't remember that. I know you don't. But that's exactly what you did when you first got here. Oh, they don't like the new creation. Lucifer did not like the new creation at all. Okay? So he's got some situations right off the rip about this new creation. Let's go to chapter 3 and start that at verse 1.
You know, the problem comes in also is the splitting of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not getting all the attention I used to get.
Right.
And that's what Lucifer's problem is. Hey, what's this thing that you so mindful? You keep paying attention to this creation. What's going on?
And understand, he's constantly got his eye on Yahweh's seat.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna get there. Genesis chapter 3, and let's read verses 1 through 13.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made.
Now, and we put all the deception on the serpent. But you have to ask yourself, each entity in this process is being used. You have to ask yourself, who using the serpent? See, we blame the serpent for a lot of things. I mean, I'm not a lover of snakes anyway. But the serpent got used too. Go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, pause for a second. How did he get that understanding? How did he get enough understanding to go against what Yahweh has said? Understand, it was all of these things created. Yahweh brought those things unto man and said, you name these things. Whatever you call them, that's what they're going to be. All right? Now, how the things that he named now has information that he don't have? Who told you? How you to tell me about the trees? I named you. How did you get this understanding? Who has he been talking to? See, we like to question the part of where the woman was having the conversation, but we don't question the part where the snake was having the conversation. Who talked to you? Go ahead.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim have said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die.
So the serpent offers another understanding other than what Yahweh has given. But how does he know this? Go ahead.
For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So you're talking about a much deeper level of understanding that an animal that he has named, has over him and his wife. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 3 and verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes.
Right. So now what is being given to her sounds like it makes sense. What? You know, you touch it, you ain't die. All right. I took a little bite. I ain't dead. Well, he must know some good stuff. Go ahead.
And a tree to be desired, to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Once he sees she didn't die, let's go on and eat it then. Go ahead.
And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
So they had to eat of the tree before they understood the things that were going on. But the snake already knew it. How did the snake already know it? Did the snake eat? How is he explaining the things to them? But they gotta eat. Even when they're talking, when the serpent is talking to them, they still don't have the understanding yet. He's trying to convince them to eat from the tree. After eating from the tree, then they have understanding. How does he already have it? Go ahead.
And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden.
Right. Whenever you get knowledge that then causes you to hide from Yahweh, you got a problem. Knowledge is supposed to be a good thing. But now after they have the knowledge, now they hide from Yahweh. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you that you was naked?
First question. Who told you? Back that question up. Who told the snake? Who told you you was naked? Now the next part of that, how did you even understand what nakedness was? Go to a toddler. Take the diaper off and say, you naked. They're going to look at you, gaga. They don't understand what nakedness means. So you still can't explain nakedness to them, even if you tell them that they're naked. Something has to happen for them to understand what nakedness is. So it's more than just telling them. So the snake was told, and the snake understood enough to deceive Yahweh's creation. Go ahead.
Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
And classic us, we got to pass the buck, because it wouldn't have been us, so somebody else had deceived me, and then that's why because. See, I myself, I was going to follow you, Yahweh, but you remember that woman you gave me? You know her? Yeah, I was just minding my own business, and then here she comes, just putting the fruit, just rubbing all across my face. And that's why I eat. That's why because. Right. But you have a situation that you were the one giving the instruction. She was repeating the instruction that was given unto her. So all of it boils down to getting the man to step away from Yahweh, because that was his original creation. That is the creation that Lucifer has a problem with. I need to get him to fall. But he has no problem going through a snake, which goes through a woman, which then deceives the man. He don't care how many lines he got to go through to get to you. That don't mean nothing to him. He ain't got nothing else to do. This is what he does. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
Right. Each one of them going down the line as to how they got deceived. But it stops at the serpent. Go ahead.
You want to continue?
Yeah, go ahead. A little bit more.
And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and thus shall you eat all the days of your life.
So to this day, the serpent no longer has legs. It has to move without legs. And it is one of the strangest things ever to this day when you see a serpent move and it will fly across the field, yet it has no legs. It is the strangest movement of anything else on land. Nothing else moves like that. And you might think because the snake don't have legs, it's slow. Oh, you sadly mistaken. A snake will fly across a yard so fast, and it will puzzle you. How's that thing do that without any legs? But that's its curse. Now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 28. At the point of being in the garden, they were spiritual infants. So their nakedness was not looked at, down upon by Yahweh. But as soon as they had understanding, they knew they had to cover themselves. It is amazing how we go. We will do the same thing. We can be naked as children. As soon as we get some understanding, we know to cover ourselves. Then we get a little bit older and start watching the people in Babylon, and then we back naked again. We are the only creatures that go backwards in understanding. And we can go to our part of being children and know when that changes. You can be in the process of changing the kid's diaper, and the kid just take off and run all over the whole house, just laughing. It's naked time. They just running, they just playing. Once they get to a certain age, they don't even want you to come in the bathroom with them. No, don't come in here. I'm using the bathroom. I made that little stuff. What are you talking about? Ain't nothing in there. Ain't nothing in there. Y'all ain't the same way. What are you talking about? You naked? I made that stuff. That's my stuff. Why you tripping? No, I don't want to come out because I was naked. You might see me. I made you. Automatically, there's a difference there. Ezekiel 28, and let's start this at verse 11.
Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus says the Adonai Yah, You sealeth up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You have been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was your covering.
Every precious stone was your covering. So at one point, he's starting this off dealing with the king. Then it goes into some other things. And now you see who's directing this king. Because we know that there's no man that has been in the Garden of Eden. So now we talk about where man was placed, where this creation was placed. Now he's dealing with Lucifer, and he says, you have been in the Garden of Eden. But when he started passing out those punishments, the punishment stopped at the snake. But in each one of those things, there was somebody that deceived the other one. Now we're hearing, you have been in the Garden of Eden. When were you there? Keep reading.
The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold.
Right. All of these precious things that we desire, this was all upon this entity. Go ahead.
You know, you mentioned it earlier, but this entity was not created on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, these stones have to be somewhere else besides just on earth.
Exactly. Go ahead.
The workmanship of your tabrets and of your pipes was prepared in you in the day that you was created.
Right. And what the powers that be have given us is a devil with 2 horns and a pitchfork, and he always red. I don't know why he always red, but he always red. According to this book, the adversary of the devil is one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen in your life. It says he is beautiful. That ain't what we're looking for. That's why the adversary of the devil comes sit right next to you. How you doing, sugar? we ain't gonna notice him. This is beautiful. What is this? What, you work for a modeling agency? Oh my God, you're gorgeous. Right. Go ahead.
You are the anointed cherub that covers.
You are the anointed cherub that covers. You got to understand what a cherub is and what a cherub does. But we'll get there. Go ahead.
And I have set you so.
I have set you so. Okay? You had all these beautiful things as your covering. You have all of this beautiful look that was given unto you. Yet the whole world think you're the ugliest thing ever. That's how he's playing the game. Go ahead.
You was upon the holy mountain of Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
You have walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
When you research the stones of fire, you find out, oh, this ain't nothing that man can deal with right here. These are the things that are connected to Yahweh's holy habitation. Go ahead.
You know, you were just talking about how the looks of what we're expecting. They gave us one thing for him and then turned around and gave us something else for Yahshua. Mm-hmm. Which is completely the opposite of what we would be expecting. Mm-hmm. They say he has no beauty that we would desire him.
Mm-hmm. Yet the other one is most beautiful. And you know what really makes somebody beautiful, especially on this earth? Put a lot of gold and chains around there. You just get, every one of them, you just get more beautiful. You just put another chain on there. All these rubies and diamonds and everything. Oh my God, he's gorgeous. Is that a diamond? Is that a diamond? Go ahead.
Verse 15. You was perfect in your ways from the day that you was created.
Perfect in your ways from the day you were created. Go ahead.
Till lawlessness was found in you.
Uh-huh.
By the multitude of your merchandise, they have filled the midst of you with violence, and you have sinned. Therefore I will cast you as profane out of the mountain of Elohim, and I'll destroy you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire.
Once again, we have two things. We have covering cherub. Then we have, I will destroy you from the midst of the stones of fire. So the object is to remove Lucifer from his habitation. And somehow we miss those things. But because he was created before man on a greater and higher level, people always ask, well, why don't he just destroy the devil? Yahweh still has to move in his own covenants. He can never be a liar. Once he sets forth something, he has to operate in that thing that he has set forth. They have a deeper covenant when you deal with these angels. So he can't just destroy them. Go ahead.
Even with that, you think about it, even his workers said, have you come to destroy us before time?
Uh-huh.
So they know there's a covenant.
Very good point, brother. Very good point. Those demons knew that he couldn't destroy them at that particular time, even with all the power that Yahshua had. That's when he suffered them to go and eat going into the swine. Mm-hmm. And people still eat pork chops. He said, man, just suffer us to go into the swine. But you cannot destroy us before the time. So they know. They got a certain time. You can't destroy us yet. Well, we know who you are, though. Go ahead.
Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You have corrupted your wisdom by reason of your brightness.
Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. Completely opposite from everything else that we've been told. Go ahead.
I will cast you to the ground. I will lay you before kings, that they may behold you.
So in other words, the adversary hates the creation of man. And Yahweh is going to punish him by turning him into a man. Go ahead.
You have defiled your sanctuaries by the multitude of your lawlessness, by the lawlessness of your traffic. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of you. It shall devour you, and I'll bring you to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold you.
I'm going to do this upon the earth. That's not where your original habitation was. He had a job to do. He just didn't like his job. He wanted to renegotiate his wages. Go ahead.
All they that know you among the people shall be astonished at you. You shall be a terror, and never shall you be any more.
All right. So now let's go to Exodus chapter 25 so that we can read a little bit more about what a covering cherub does. Exodus chapter 25. And let's read verses 17 I tell you what, read that through 22.
17 through 22?
Yep. Exodus chapter 25.
Verse 17. And you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof.
Right. So they're getting exact measurements on how to make these things for a reason. And he's just not grabbing these measurements, out of the air. It says, let it be on earth as it is in heaven. So understand, I'm giving you a representation of the things that are here. So I need you to make this a certain way. Go ahead.
And you shall make 2 cherubims of gold, of beaten work shall you make them, in the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And make 1 cherub on the one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall you make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims shall stretch forth their wings on high.
All right. Now, 2 cherubims, excuse me, verse 19. Make 1 cherub on the one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall you make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. Verse 20. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high. Ezekiel 28 says he was a covering cherub. The wings were the covering. All of the angels that we read in this book all appeared as men with maybe a glowing countenance. Other than that, they look like regular men. The covering cherub has wings. Every angel that we have ever seen depicted has wings. Lucifer made all of them look like him. Every image that we've ever been given of an angel had wings. The covering cherub has wings. Rest of them didn't. Why? Because the wings cover the mercy seat. That was part of his job, not for him to do anything else. This was part of his job. Now, everybody believes that if they see an angel, they're waiting to see the wings. They're waiting to see Lucifer. And have no idea. This is the interesting part of how he does his propaganda. So now, even when somebody's looking for an angel, they're looking for an image of Lucifer and have no idea. You go in people's houses and they got 1,000 figurines of angels. Every last one of them got wings. They have no idea where that comes from. Every other person in this book, when they say they seen an angel, they say, I seen a man. They ain't say, I seen this winged dude, man, and he flew up, man, he stretched them wings, man. He covered up my whole house. You don't read that anywhere. You find the wings here. The same covering cherub that he said, I'm going to destroy you from the mountain of Elohim. This who has wings. So he first made everybody think he was ugly. Then he made us think that every angel has wings. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And the cherubims shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings. And their faces shall look one to another. Toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be.
You have that wonder, though. Who the other dude? There's supposed to be two of them covering the mercy seat, right? One of them had a problem. Who the other one? Let me stop for somebody to have a class. Next week, somebody gonna be on the internet. I know who the other cherub is. No, you don't. Stop lying. Gonna be a 4-hour teaching and then somebody gonna send me the link. I ain't watching 4 hours of that mess. Don't send me no 4-hour mess. If I'm gonna watch a fairy tale, I might as well go look at Black Panther or one of them movies. At least it will be entertaining. Don't send me 4 hours of somebody mess teaching. I know who the other cherub is. Read, man.
And you shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you.
So all of this guards the testimony. This is the place where Yahweh is going to commune with the children of Israel. So this covering cherub was covering a lot. He had a lot of very, very important things under his control. Go ahead.
And there I will meet with you, and I'll commune with you from above the mercy seat.
Right. So this is the place where Yahweh comes to commune with the children of Israel. This covering cherub is in the midst of all the great things. This way you're going to come sit under me. You're going to go, I hear all the things you say because I'm the one that's covering you. So when you talk to them, I listen. Go ahead.
From between the two cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all the things which I will give you in commandment unto the children of Israel.
All right. Now, let's go to Proverbs chapter 18. So then, at this point, we then understand that the adversary has, because of location, he has a great amount of knowledge and understanding about everything that is going on. First of all, he was there when the creation was made. Okay? So, even when there's the conversation about the creation, he's there. He understands all of the things that are going to take place. And we have to see what happens after that. Proverbs 18, let's read verses 12 through 17.
Before destruction the heart of man is haughty, and before honor is humility. He that answers a matter before he hears it it is folly and shame unto him.
He that answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame unto him. So then Yahweh has already given us a law that we should make diligent inquiry anytime something goes on. But the adversary, understand, he has all this information in the front end. So he's not going to wait for Yahweh to put out his. The adversary, the devil, going to move first. Go ahead.
The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear? The heart of the prudent gets knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gifts makes room for him, and brings him before great men. He that is first in his own cause seems just, but his neighbor comes and searches him.
This is the part that we have to deal with. He that is first in his own cause seems just, but his neighbor comes and searches him. And then you find out a whole nother level of understanding. Lucifer always has to be the first one to bring his doctrine to us. First thing we learn is normally the wrong one, because he's the first one to get there with his story. Jesus is the reason for the season. First thing you hear. First thing got to you. You ain't went nowhere. You open your door. Here come Jesus. Hey, how you doing? Where you come from? Ain't nobody even looking for you. Right? He first in his story. So he seems just. Why? Because you have not heard the other side of the story. Everything that he says sounds right, because he's the only one talking. So for years, that's the only doctrine we heard. It seemed just, because you had nothing else to base that off of. Then here comes his neighbor. And now here comes something else. And if you don't believe that he comes first, think about what happened in the garden. He automatically came with a different doctrine. Yahweh had not even given any doctrine yet to them. The only doctrine was, don't eat from the tree. Here he comes, and there's a whole nother situation. No, see, now when you eat it, you're going to be so smart, you're going to be a God yourself. They ain't never even heard no God. Me? A God? Wait a minute, I like the way that sounds. Hey, wait a minute, ain't nobody saying nothing about that to me. Now, they got a whole nother thought process going on in their head that was never there before. Yahweh hadn't talked to them about being no God. Now they're entertaining different thoughts because of this other doctrine that was given unto them. And he started early, very early. Now let's go to Job. Should be just back up 1-2 books. Job chapter 1, and let's read verses 6 through 16. And the thing with hearing this is if you start to research, especially the situation about Yahshua, you're going to come up with all kinds of doctrines. You will run into the story of Nimrod. You're going to run into the story of Horus, where he had the virgin birth. So they said the whole story of Christ is a mimicking of the things that were done in Egypt. Understand who started talking first? Lucifer always started talking first. So what happened is when we hear that, oh, well, this story came first, this got to be what the real thing is. See, because see, I can find a savior before Christ who didn't have regular parents. See, but understand who knows the story. Understand who's standing there as the creation is done. Understand who's standing there as all of the things about what was in Ezekiel. He says, you've been in the Garden of Eden. We notice it was, the punishment stopped at the snake. But somebody gave the snake information. Snake just didn't find that out. Snake brain like this big. He didn't just find that out on his own. Somebody told the serpent. How did he get it? And dealing with that being a higher entity, he couldn't just punish that entity the same way he dealt with the entities created on earth. Those were all entities created on earth. They were then given their punishment on earth. That other entity wasn't created on earth. He can't deal with his punishment right there. Job chapter 1, and let's start at verse 6. Go ahead, bro.
No, sometimes it's hard, even with you explaining that Lucifer is there. When the ark was made, it was also told to make staves to carry the ark. And we've seen those old movies where they carry the Egyptian king up on the seat.
Right.
You got to understand that that's mimicking Yahweh's ark. So if the curving cherub is there, wherever that ark went carrying Yahweh, he's there. So as Yahweh is sitting there giving these things, he's standing right there, hearing everything that's being said and watching everything that's being done. He moves wherever the ark is. So he's never left out.
He's got all the information. And sometimes information gets you in trouble.
So, ooh, this information juicy right here. Oh my goodness. Ooh, wee. I can't wait to tell me another demon this right here. Oh my God. You did what?
Yeah. 1 and verse 6.
Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
Right. So now, in this situation of the sons of Elohim, these are angels. And the angels have come to make their appearance. And here comes the adversary of the devil with everybody else. With all the rest of the angels. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, Whence cometh you?
Where you been, man? He ain't said, what you doing here? Get your pitchfork carrying yourself up out of here, bruh. That ain't what he said. That's where you come from. Because you ain't been here. You been going somewhere. Where you been? Go ahead.
And Satan answered Yahweh,
Where you say you been?
From going to and fro in the earth.
Yeah, man. Well, look, I already been in the garden. I done did that stuff in there. I mean, you seen my work. You know I don't like this creation or whatever this thing is that you done, made over here. This little dog or whatever, or man or whatever you call it. I don't like this thing. You know where I've been. So I've been up and down, to and fro, in the earth. Go ahead.
And from walking up and down in it.
And
Yahweh said unto Satan, Have you considered my servant Job?
Now, when I first read this, it bothered me. What you mean considered? He did it from day one. This is what he did from day one when he got there.
You won't surely die.
This is what he does. So he didn't have to ask him to do it. I already know what you're doing because I know what you do. Well, have you considered my servant? Because, I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You know that I know what you're doing. Because we both know what you do. But have you considered my servant? Let me see if I can get some glory out of whatever that is that you do. I've been going up and down in the earth, to and fro, walking up and down in it, looking for whom I can deceive and destroy. All right. I got a servant. He made of flesh and bone. Much lower creation than you. Let's see if you can break him. Oh, I know I can break him. All right. Let's see. Go ahead.
That there's none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears Elohim and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, Does Job fear Elohim for naught? Have not you made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side?
Yeah, I done went by his house. I seen him. I go by there. I look. But you put a fence around it, so I can't even go in there and kill him. But I see him. And look at all that money you done gave him. Cause he like you. Go ahead.
You have blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth your hand now, and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face.
Take his money. I bet he don't serve you then. And see, that's all some of us need. It's a small downfall, and we out. Oh, we love the word. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love. Oh, my God, I love him. I love him. Soon as we have a problem, I'm out. What happened to that love? What happened to it? This is what the devil banking on. I'm banking on you gonna have something that's gonna make you feel some type of way, and you gonna walk away from the word. So just take something here. I bet he leave you. I bet he curse you to your face. He just won't leave you. He gonna curse you on his way out. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, Behold, all that he has is in your power, only upon himself put not forth your hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of Yah. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone am escaped alone to tell you. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The fire of Elohim is fallen from heaven.
Now check that out. There's fire that has come from heaven, and they automatically assume that this comes from Elohim, but this comes from the adversary, the devil. This is not Yahweh burning them up. But this is what they perceive it to be, because it is fire coming out of heaven. What else would you think it was if the fire shot out of the sky? Last person you thinking about is Lucifer. You're going to think the same thing. Go ahead.
And has burnt up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell you.
All right. So then we see that this goes in order here, and it keeps going in this touching of Job. Brother, read that note that I got up under there.
Yohanan chapter 8 and verse 44. You are of your father the devil.
This is what Yahshua ended up saying, dealing with the Pharisees. Go ahead.
And the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there's no truth in him.
But he was a covering cherub. He was covered in the covering the most holy thing there. Go ahead.
When he speaketh a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
All right. So when we go back to the beginning, we see that he offered a different doctrine other than what Yahweh had given in the garden. Let's go to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel chapter 7. Second Samuel chapter 7, and let's read verses 8 through 19.
Verse 8. Now therefore, so shall you say unto my servant Dawid, thus says Yahweh of hosts.
Now, Dawid said that he wanted to build Yahweh a house. Originally, the prophet heard what he said and said, go ahead and do it. But then here comes Yahweh after that and is correcting his prophet, because the prophet spoke from his own heart. Everything that he had seen that Dawid had attempted to do, he was able to do it. So why would he think otherwise? But then, understanding that these were holy things, Dawid has been the man to have a lot of wars and to build the kingdom. That put a lot of blood on his hands. So then that made him at a situation where he could not build the house of Yahweh because there was too much blood on his hands. Go ahead.
I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with you whithersoever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight, and have made you a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth.
Now, he says, I was with you whithersoever you went. You start to read the stories of Dawid, and he was in some strange situations. But Yahweh said, I was still there. It was in situations where he didn't know if he was going to make it through. Yahweh was like, yeah, but I was there. Yahweh anointed him king, then made him wait on the crown. He said, you the king. But there's another dude over there with the crown. Yahweh like, but you the king. Yeah, but the dude with the crown trying to kill me. Yeah, I know, but you the king now. Yeah, well, tell the dude with the staff, okay? Because that dude keep trying to kill me, man. Threw a javelin at me, man. Yeah, but you the king now. I don't feel very kingly. Yahweh gave it to him, yet he still made him earn it. Yeah, it's yours. That's yours. I gave that to you. I've anointed you king, man. You're the king. Now go get it. I'm sorry, say again. Go get it. It's yours. It's all yours. All you gotta do is go get it. Yeah, but okay, he got a whole army. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I got like maybe 200-300 dudes, okay? And that's miraculous in itself, okay? That you've caused me to grow like that. But that's like a whole army over there. There's like tribes of like people over there, and they all got weapons. I know, right? Go get it. Okay. That's what made him different from everybody else. Go get it. Think about what happened with the Philistine. Man, this dude's a giant. You going at him with a rock? Go get it. Okay. All the rest of them scared. Big old manly soldiers full of muscles. And the little kid looking dude, little pretty little boy with a slingshot, go over there and take down the giant. Go ahead.
You know, we don't consider how long David was under Saul while he was already anointed king.
Yes.
And still having to be told by this man how to come and when to go.
Yes.
You the king.
And see, we got so much pride. If we was anointed on Tuesday, we talking junk Thursday afternoon. You know what I'm saying? Thursday, we like, hold on, bro. I don't know if you know it or not. But Yahweh done came to a brother. You know what I'm saying? Got a little anointing up here. You know what I'm talking about? So I ain't got to listen to you. We dead by Friday. You know what I'm saying? Because we talking junk already. Ain't got your power yet. Hold on, Pipsqueak. Hold on. You got to work on that. And I mean, he had to walk under this man for a while. This is not just something where he told him he was king and 2 weeks later, he walking around with a crown. Oh, no. No. He had to endure. We can't go through 15 minutes of pain. He's enduring. Man telling lies on him. Man making him look a certain way, like he this and he that. Telling other people he's a deceiver. Let's kill him. He's still showing up. He's still doing all the works of Yahweh. Yahweh making him earn it. And when you earn it, can't nobody take it. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they say. Yahweh ain't gonna let them take it away from you. Saul didn't earn it. Look how fast he lost it. He didn't earn it. The people said, give us a king. He said, you sure you want one? It's all right. Anoint him king. And then I need you to take off running immediately. All right. Anoint him king. I want the oil still dripping on his face while you run the hell away out of there, because he finna kill everybody. He crazy as all get out. I'm telling you now. Saul had priests killed. He didn't care who he killed. He tried to kill David. So you know the man is anointed of Yahweh, but I'm still going to kill him. He knew those priests were anointed. He still ordered them killed. And Yahweh told them what manner of king he was going to be. They said, nevertheless, still give him. We want him. We want us a king just like everybody else got a king. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Moreover, I'll appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also Yahweh tells you that he will make you an house.
I will build you an house. So you're talking about building me a house, but just because of the desire, I'm going to build you one. Go ahead.
And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you. He shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
Right. So now you have to listen to these words. Verse 12. And when your days be fulfilled, you shall sleep with your fathers. I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name. Automatically, everybody, of course, goes to Slow-Mo, because Slow-Mo built the physical house of Yahweh. He then built the temple. But we have to consider some things there. Did you finish that up?
Verse
Brother?
14. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit lawlessness, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul when I put him away before you.
Right. And it was also taken from Slow-Mo. So then you have, through this situation, there is a level of cursing placed on the kings after Slow-Mo. Go ahead.
And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto Dawid.
Now, understand what's being said here. This is about the kingship. This is about being a king and ruling. This is not dealing with the priesthood at this point. This is a situation of the rulership of the king of Dawid. So when you read the things about Yahshua and it starts saying son of David, it's talking about kingship, not priesthood. And that's something that a lot of times we end up kind of leaving or just kind of dropping by the wayside. This is what they wanted to kill. When they said, show me this child that has been born king of the Jews. No, he wanted to kill the king. He wasn't thinking about anything else. He's thinking about, this is somebody who's going to challenge the rulership of the Romans. Because he is the rightful, y'all done watched enough of them TV shows, man, where they have the rightful king of the throne. First thing they want to do is kill that kid. That's what that's about. So we kind of mix the things about the kingship. We automatically throw that in the part of being the Messiah and the Savior. The king was going to be a savior in a sense that he would save the children of Israel from the oppressors. That was what they were trying to kill and get rid of. Did you finish that?
Not yet. Just want to touch on one thing. You know, that's an interesting point of what you're talking about with Herod being worried about the birth of Yahshua. If Slow-Mo was that king, why would you be worried? He's dead and gone. At that point,
Right. We ain't got to worry about that no more. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Then went King Dawid in and sat before Yahweh, and he said, who am I, O Adonai, and what is my house that you have brought me hitherto?
All right, listen.
And this was yet a small thing in the sight, O Adonai Elohim, but you have spoken also of your servant's house for a great while to come.
Stop. Everybody know this. He said, you have spoken of your servant house for a great while to come. So does the adversary, the devil. So at this point, all of them of the Old Testament know that they're looking for this Savior. This is what Herod was trying to kill. This is why he went so-called to the wise men. Hey, man, search them scriptures, man, and tell me where this kid supposed to be at. So I know you study that word. You know what I'm saying? I don't really study y'all word like that. So go into your word and tell me where he gonna be so I can worship him. That ain't what you want to do. It's funny that they will say wise, but at the same time they think you're a fool. They're like, oh yeah, we know how you want to worship. You want to worship putting a dagger right through his heart. So you can kill him before he turns into what he is to be. You go back in your life and find some situations where you wasn't supposed to make it through that. The adversary, the devil, wanted to take care of you before you got to who you're supposed to be. Go ahead, bro.
And is this the manner of man, O Adonai?
Right. Is this the manner of man? You've spoken about this house, this thing that you're going to do for a great while to come. And am I that type of man for you to use my house to do this? So that's something that we have to think about. Now, at the prophecy of Samson's birth, the angel of Yahweh gave instructions unto Samson's parents on how to order the child so as not to defile his gift. He was to be a Nazarite from birth to preserve the gift of incredible strength that was given unto him. Yahshua was to receive spiritual strength. So it only makes sense that his beginnings would be somehow different from every other man, just as Samson's was. Let's go to Luke chapter 1 and verse 26. See, we know about the physical power that was given unto Samson, and for that not to be defiled, he had to be a Nazarite from birth. And when he defiled that, once he told his secret, that power left him for a while. Until his locks began to grow back. He was automatically not able to drink, things from, wine or anything like that. He was a Nazarite. He was separated from all of those things. The angel gave his mother those instructions from day one. So she couldn't even partake in those things, because if she drunk it, he drank it. If she ate things from the vine, he ate things from the vine. So she had to get those instructions day one. Look, you gonna conceive seed, and this is what you need to do. He's going to be a Nazarite from birth. So pay attention to this. So he was born at a certain time for a certain job. But it had to be something different for him to be able to maintain the gift that was given unto him. Luke chapter 1, and let's start that at verse 26.
And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from Elohim unto a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Miriam.
And you're going to find all kind of issues. You find out during this time in the daughter of Babylon, that word virgin scared the hell out of people. They don't like that word. They don't like that word at all. So they said, when you look up the word, and we have the definition in it, they say, well, it just means a young woman. Yeah, a young woman. It was clear that a young woman has not dealt with a man. So they have a real situation and a problem with that word there. But even if they try to say, okay, the wrong word was used, you can't just take out the word. Now you got to take out some more sentences, because they go a little deeper than just that word. Keep going.
And the angel came in unto her and said, Hail, you that art highly favored, the Adonai is with you, blessed art you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be.
Just like before, just like dealing with Samson, you have the angel coming unto the woman. And this bothers people. Why the angel not going to that man? The angel going to that woman. But people got a problem with where the angel going. The angel taking care of his business. Go ahead.
And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for you have found favor with Elohim. And behold, you shall conceive in your womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yahshua.
Mm-hmm.
He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Adonai shall give unto him the throne of his father David.
He shall give unto him the throne of his father David. So now we're then talking about following in the line, and yourself is within the lineage of Dawid, but we have to consider where Yahweh takes this seed from. But he's talking about the kingship at this point. He will give him the throne of his father David. Go ahead.
And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. Then said Miriam unto the angel, How shall this be, seeing I know not a man?
So now if they use the wrong word for virgin, then they got to take this sentence out too. Go ahead.
And the angel answered and said unto her, The Holy Spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the highest shall overshadow you. Therefore also that holy thing which shall be born of you shall be called the Son of Elohim.
So this child is going to have spiritual power. There was a certain instruction given unto the parents of Samson for him to maintain his physical strength. Why do we have a problem with there being an issue on how this child has to be born? Because he's going to have spiritual strength and be able to maintain it. The spirit may deal with an individual for the job that he or she has to do, but after that, the spirit leaves, because all of us are going to do something unclean sooner or later, because we are but flesh. The spirit didn't leave Yahshua. That ain't normal. Go ahead.
And behold, your cousin Elizabeth, she has also conceived a son in her old age.
Now, he's saying this to prove the power of her being able to have this child, even though she has not known a man. So you have to understand the biblical term for know. So if you got a problem with that, you got to take this sentence out too now. So now you got a different Bible if you don't, deal with this. You got to start taking whole paragraphs out now. So it ain't just changing the word. You got to take the sentence out before. Now you got to take this sentence out too. Go ahead.
Just to touch on Samson, the same thing was said about Yohanan, that they shouldn't have the strong drink or any of that coming into his birth as well.
Yohanan didn't even drink wine at all. And they still had stuff to say about him. And Yahshua said, man, he didn't drink wine or nothing. And y'all had problems talking about him. Say, I drink wine. Y'all got a problem with me. But y'all said stuff about him. And he's a man that ain't done none of this stuff. Go ahead.
And this is the 6th month with her, who was called barren.
Right. This is the 6th month with her who was called barren, and she's an old woman. Why you don't question my ability? Yeah, I can get you pregnant without you being with a man. Did the ground get pregnant and give forth Adam? Who laid with the dirt? Who laid with the dirt? Which one of y'all got into the dirt and got the ground pregnant so that it gave birth to Adam? Which one of y'all did it? Which one of you trees, you little nasty trees, which one of you nasty trees got with the ground and brought forth Adam? Not now one of you. So how we get to the point where we going to limit Yahweh our Elohim? But see, we listen to them stories because Lucifer gets his propaganda first. And when you start looking at some of these things, you'll find it's 4 gospels. 2 of the gospels start with dealing with the birth of Yahshua. The other 2 start directly at the baptism. They don't even deal with the physical birth. So at the end of the day, while they're doing all of these things, does it change the dramatic part about your salvation? What it does to man is they need to make him normal. And what it is a step down in dealing with things. Go ahead.
Verse 37. For with Elohim, nothing shall be impossible.
You're going to take that line out too. Because everything he's saying is about proving the part of the birth without a sexual union between a man and a woman. So you got to take all of this out. Go ahead.
And Miriam said, Behold, the handmaid of the Adonai, be it unto me according to your word. And the angel departed from her.
All right, read that definition for virgin there.
Virgin from G3933, which is Greek, Parthenos of unknown origin, a maiden, by implication an unmarried daughter.
And because we don't know the definition of married, see, we think married mean that certificate that we get down at the courthouse. So they don't understand what an unmarried young woman is supposed to be.
Virgin.
Somebody sent me a link to a video, and it had all kind of presumptuous teachings in it. It started having all kind of things about Mary's father. There ain't one thing in this book talking about Mary's father. And he had a whole teaching connected to somebody that the book don't even tell you not one thing about. Now you're doing a whole bunch of guessing. And now we're going to suppose, since this was done, and it says this in the law, do you know how long separated the law was from the time that all of these things are happening? They're calling Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread the same thing by that time. They're doing all kind of things out of order. They got a temple that's being ran by an Edomite. Yet somebody gonna try to prove something that Christ's doing by going back to the law about what Joseph was doing. Man, they can't even deal with. They being ruled over by a whole different group of people. So the temple that they got is a temple for show, and is a temple that the other entities rule over and used it to rule over them. Because they had figurehead rulers. The same thing that America does in other countries. They put all of those people who they said was enemies, the leader of Iraq, they said bin Laden was an enemy. All these people were trained by America. They used to be friends. When they become enemies, the day that they didn't do what they wanted them to do. Same thing happened in this book. The Romans put people in charge that they could use to control Israel. Think about how Israel, a people being ruled over, was able to move a leader of the Romans to assault Yahshua. Say, you no friend of Caesar.
We gonna tell the king? This man said he king of the Jews. What you gonna do about it?
I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't worried about that.
We gonna tell Caesar?
Man, don't tell my boss. They pushed the man to do it. That was us playing them political games. That man didn't want to have nothing to do with that. But people quick to tell you, oh, the Gentiles did this. That man he didn't want to touch that man. We pushed that man to do that. We gonna tell him. And you know Caesar crazy. That was us. But we quick to blame the Gentiles for it. You got situations where a Gentile wife come in. Don't have nothing to do with this just man. I'm telling you, I done had many dreams about that man. That man's a good man. Leave that man alone. Don't touch that man. Don't listen to what they saying. Leave that man alone. But we pushed them. Somehow we can read that and take our involvement. It is amazing how we do that. How we can read something and take all the negative things of us out of the story. I find that amazing. We can read the whole story.
You see what them Gentiles did?
How you skip the part what you did? How you skip verse 9 through 13 and you singing about 14? How you get there? Oh, we'll forget about that. It is utterly amazing. Let's go to John chapter 3. John chapter 3, and let's read verses 1 through 13.
Yohanan chapter 3 and verse 1. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Yehudis. The same came to Yahshua by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from Elohim, for no man can do these miracles that you do, except Elohim be with him. Yahshua answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Elohim.
Now, he's automatically talking about the importance of this baptism that the Pharisees didn't want to have nothing to do with anyway. So here it is, Nicodemus being among the Pharisees, he has to sneak and go and listen to Yahshua. We got people do the same thing. Yeah. They say, man, I can't stand the UCI. And then they wait, there ain't nobody around, and they go on the internet.
Make sure ain't nobody watching.
Right. Go ahead.
Nicodemus says unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Yahshua answered, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Elohim.
Right. Except a man be born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Elohim. And we have all kind of people teaching against water baptism. This is foundation principle number 1. And it is amazing how fast wrong teaching spread. Go ahead.
That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit.
All right, we've already had a natural birth. All of us had that. It's the spiritual one that we have to take care of. Go ahead.
Marvel not that I said unto you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it listeth, and you hear the sound thereof, but cannot tell whence it comes and where it goes. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit.
This don't mean that you're going to blink your eyes and end up at the end of the hall without walking. That's not what that's talking about. What that's talking about is when the Spirit starts to direct you, it ain't going to make sense to all the people that's standing by. Well, you used to do this. Why you not doing this no more? You used to do that. When the Spirit starts directing you for its purpose, you might have to drop off a few friends. You might have to drop off a few family members. Because they don't understand this new you. Why are you doing that? Go ahead.
Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? Yahshua answered and said unto him, Are you a master of Israel and knoweth not these things?
Are you a master of Israel? He's a Pharisee. They're doctors of the law. How is it that you read and study all these things, but you don't know what it is I'm talking about? Go ahead.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man has ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven.
Right, and then there's some understanding that has to be had to just explain what that is. Let's go to Luke chapter 2. So we're going to back up one book. Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 41 through 52.
Verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast.
Now, I ended up with a question concerning that, and that made people think, hey, because he was doing these things at 12 years old, he must have always been the Son of God because he has done these things. But you have to read these things carefully. Go ahead.
And when they had fulfilled the days, as they returned, the child Yahshua tarried behind in Jerusalem, and Joseph and his mother knew not of it. But they, supposing him to have been in the company, went a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinsfolks and acquaintance. And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem, seeking him.
And they was ticked off. After going among their folks, they can't find him. Everybody walking. It's a bunch of kids, bunch of folks, everybody moving. And the kids will flock together in their own groups. They can't find him among nobody. He done stayed behind. Go ahead.
They done go on a day's journey. Now you got to turn back a day's journey.
Exactly.
And that means when you going back, everybody going.
Right. You going by yourself. It's a different travel when you got, 200-300 people walking down the street with you. You ain't worried about no animals. You ain't worried about that. Beasts run away from 300 people. Angry beasts be like, no, there's too many of them. Dogs don't even run at 300 people. Dogs run at one person. Now you have just lost all your power in this travel, because now you just going to be traveling with you, your wife, and this boy. Because you got to go back. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions.
Not just, and I think what people didn't think is, he's teaching at 12 years old. No, he learning at 12. He was asking questions. He wasn't down there declaring all of these. He's learning. This is not the son of Elohim yet. Son of Elohim already know the answers. He's learning. See, we don't ever get to that point where we learn it. We already know. That's why he can't teach us nothing, because we already know. Son of Elohim, to be, is learning. He's asking questions. So what about this? Oh, okay, well, what about that then? Oh. Go ahead.
Hey, we need to introduce them to our boys, don't we?
Hey.
The questions that they ask.
Yeah.
Verse 47. And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers.
Right. They are astonished. Hey, man, ain't this a little boy? First of all, you got to have enough understanding on certain levels to even understand a certain answer. Like if somebody came and they said, well, tell us about jet propulsion. Ain't no need me to listen to that answer, because I don't know enough to understand what the hell they talking about. I can go ahead and clock out. I can go ahead and hit my off switch. Wake me when they done. Because I don't know nothing about no jet propulsion. You're going to have to explain something so that you can explain something. I don't know nothing about that. You don't need me to listen to that. When they start talking, I'm like, kids, you got it? Tell me about it when they get done, because I don't know what that is. He's got to have a certain level of understanding just to be able to go back with them. So they are amazed at that. But he's still asking questions. He's growing. He wasn't just born and he was there. That is the point that you have to see out of that. Go ahead.
And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why have you thus dealt with us? Behold, your father and I have sought you sorrowing. And he said unto them,
Because remember now, they say after 3 days, they had a journey back.
That's 5 days.
Then, after 3 days, they found it. Hey, man, after a couple of days of not knowing where your kid is, hey, man, you are a crazy nut basket by that time. You don't know what done happened to your kids. You don't know. There ain't nobody seen him. You going from place to place. Man, you crazy by the time you find this child, man. And you ticked off. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, How is it that you sought me? Know you not that I must be about my father's business?
He didn't sound remorseful about it either. You know what I'm saying? I was like, for a 12-year-old, you need your godly tail whoop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because that ain't the answer after 4 or 5 days. That ain't the answer I'm trying to hear right now. I need to be hearing, my bad, Daddy. Dad, I'm sorry. This how you answer that? Don't you know I must be about my father's business? There was a better way to answer that. Go ahead.
And they understood not the saying which he spake unto them. And he went down with them, and came to Nazareth, and was subject unto them. But his mother kept all these sayings in her heart. And Yahshua increased in wisdom. And
he increased in wisdom. Not that he was already there. And this is something that people just want to take him as a physical. This is why you got, especially in Christianity, you got baby Jesus, you got teenage Jesus, you got middle school Jesus, you know what I'm saying? You got college age Jesus. You got, just not going to the party Jesus, you know what I'm saying? He's 21, he can drink now. Then you got 30-year-old who gets the baptism. They got all kind of stages there. He's learning and growing. He doesn't have full understanding. He's growing. Where's our part where we give ourselves that part of growth? He didn't just start, I am the son of Elohim. All y'all need to do whatever I tell you to do. That's not what he did. He was subject unto them. That means he did what he was told. When they said, boy, come in his house, he came in the house. And they watched him closer after they know he got a disappearing problem. See, they know he got a problem of disappearing. They watching him. But you seen that son go down there. You get on in here now. They know that. And they watching him to make sure that he does what he's supposed to do. Did you finish that?
And Yahshua increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with Elohim and man.
All right, let's back up. What was that? Right there. Was that Luke chapter 2? All right. Let's go to Matthew chapter 3 and verse 13. Matthew chapter 3, and let's start that at verse 13.
Then comes Yahshua from Galilee to Jordan unto Yohanan to be baptized of him. But Yohanan forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of you, and come you to me?
So then we understand that right before Yahshua comes, Yohanan is the one born of the two elderly parents who they thought was going to be barren. They were only barren because the child that they needed to bear from a man of the priesthood, this child had a job to do and he couldn't come to the earth too much further apart from Yahshua. So they were withheld from having a child for that reason. Those two gene pools was going to make a certain child, but that child couldn't be too much older than the one that he was born to baptize. Go ahead.
And Yahshua answering said unto him, Suffer it to be so now, for thus it becomes us to fulfill all righteousness.
In other words, I understand everything that you're saying, but you need to baptize me. Yet we have whole doctrines of why they can bypass baptism. Go ahead.
Then he suffered him. And Yahshua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water. And, lo, the heavens were opened unto him. And he saw the Spirit of Elohim descending like a dove and lighting upon him.
And this is the God of Israel. This is the Son of Yahweh, Israel, then descending on this body, and now he has been born again. When it says that no man goes to heaven except he that came down from heaven, it's real hard to explain that when you saw him get born. And that way, man, he comes from heaven. I saw him right there. He came out that woman over there. This is being born again. This is what the baptism is. See? This is being born of the Spirit. Go ahead.
And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased.
Right. So then this part throws people off. They said, well, Sak, you said that this is the point that he began to be the son of Elohim at the baptism, because this is the point where Yahweh says, this is my son. Yahweh didn't say that when he was 12. When he was in there learning, Yahweh didn't say that. Yahweh said that at the baptism as he received this Spirit. But Yahweh ain't the only one who showed up at the baptism. Can you read?
Then was Yahshua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
Look who else shows up.
How you doing? I heard you just got baptism. How you doing? I've been waiting on you.
No, this is not Yahshua in the flesh who he has an issue with. This is Israel. This is the son of Elohim whom we are named after. We ain't called Yahwehites. We call Israelites. This is Israel. Oh, they know each other very well. This is who Lucifer has been waiting on. We don't need to be fighting with that flesh. I was waiting. I tried to kill the body. I couldn't kill it. But now you in the body. Now let's wrestle. Soon as he got the baptism, Yahweh show up, so does Lucifer. We got a real holy party going on right now. And a lot of times we just go right past that. Lucifer don't show up before then. You got all these situations. Lucifer not there. But here come baptism. Here come Lucifer. Yahweh said, this is my son whom I'm well pleased. Here come the adversary. I'm finna kill him. Let's see if he know how to deal with flesh. I know you created it, but you don't know nothing about it. Go ahead.
You know, even with this baptism, he spends his whole life fighting against those who knew the natural born man.
Mm-hmm.
All the new people that came on to him and saw him as the son of Elohim, all knew that weren't around him. We ourselves go through the same thing as we get a baptism and we assign ourselves a name. That's not what your parents named you. I'm not calling you that. I know you as such and such. So we're going to spend our lives doing the same thing if your conversation is all right.
Right.
Because if you ain't making no change to show a new person, then hey, they have no reason to be convinced that you are a changed person.
Right. And let me tell you something. Some of them old friends will remind you of everything.
You what? You wasn't there when you shot up Miss Josephine's house. I can still count the bullet holes in there now. You wasn't all that there. Oh, you holding now. You still got the AK-47? Uh-huh. Did you put a kufi on it?
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, bro.
And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward an hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if you be the son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread.
Now, ain't he doing the same thing he did in the garden? He has not changed his ways. He did the same thing that he did to Adam. He's doing the same thing again. Because he knows the story from beginning to end. I don't care how much we read, ain't none of us ever going to be smarter than him. You are never going to be more intelligent than somebody who was there. You ain't never going to know more than somebody who was there. So let's go ahead and stop that right there. If your education is your key to your success, you're going to die. Because you ain't never going to know what he knows. He knows things that we won't even be able to comprehend. That can't be your reason. Go ahead.
But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Elohim.
Goes back to the word. Go ahead.
Then the devil takes him up into the holy city and sets him on a pinnacle of the temple and says unto him, if you be the son of Elohim, cast yourself down.
Right. Because at this point, you are a spirit that just entered into a natural body. Do you know the limitations of this natural body? Now, your spirit can go anywhere. But you do know if you jump that body off that building, it's going to bust open and die, right? Let me see if you know the difference between your spiritual power and the natural body that you are contained in. Go ahead.
For it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up.
Right. And he going to use the word to convince him to do something stupid.
What's your bro? I mean, ain't it the word? It say he gonna give the angel charge over you. Hey, come on now, we both know this. Come on, bro.
Go ahead.
Least at any time you should dash your foot against a stone. Yahshua said unto him, it is written again, you shall not tempt Yad near your Elohim.
Right. So as the devil takes the word and takes it out of context, Yahshua takes the word and put it back into context. This is going to be your walk for the rest of your time walking. You're going to run into people and they're going to use the word. They're going to say some things, but they're going to use that word out of context. It is then your job to take the word and put it right back in context. What they say may have been true, but they used it out of context. Yes, did the word say he shall give angels charge to protect you? Yeah, but that don't mean you can jump off a building and say,
Yahweh gonna protect me. I'm finna jump off this building.
no, we're going to find all your body parts all along I-285. You jump off that bridge you want to. Talking about Yahweh going to protect me. Go ahead.
Again, the devil takes him up into an exceeding high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them.
Right. Now, he has power because he's offering something, and you have to ask, where you get this power from? Go ahead.
And says unto him, all these things will I give you if you will fall down and worship me.
Right. So then when we see people who worship other gods and worship other things, and they have all this money, we then end up with a little jealousy. And we say, wow, their God must be real. Look at all that money they got. Who says, I give you all this? You want money? I got money. You want power? I got power. All you got to do is worship me, and I'll give you all this. And if you back up and look at things, you'll see the income separation between the people in Sunday church who knowingly worship the adversary and the people who are being tricked into worshiping the adversary. The normal people don't understand what they're doing. Those people are there because they are trying to serve God. The people at the front of that building that's in charge, they know exactly what they're doing. They ain't just now heard the word or name of Yahweh and Yahshua. All of a sudden now they're using the name. Why? Because there's too many of us using it. They the one orchestrating the fake pass out, trying to make people pass out in the front, selling miracle spring water. They know what they're doing. Those the open worshipers of Lucifer. It's a big income gap in between those that know they're worshiping the devil. Those other people don't know that. But they have an opportunity to get out. Just like any other game. You got to cross a certain line before you get fully vested in. They got to see you do some dirt, or they don't feel comfortable with you. So first they got to jump you in. Then after they jump you in, all right, now here come the line. Either we're going to go in, we're going to rob this store. I need you to put a hot one in the clerk. And if you don't kill that clerk, you ain't down with us. Because they got to have some dirt on you. Because if you keep hanging around, you're going to have some dirt on them. And they don't feel comfortable if you clean and they dirty. So I'm going to need you to get dirty. So I got some dirt against you. Go ahead, bro.
Then says Yahshua unto him, get you hence, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Adonai Yah, and him only shall you serve. Then the devil leaves him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him.
Now, he said, I will give you, don't the word say that he would give angels to protect you? But you know the angels didn't come until after he withstood Lucifer. Do we withstand the devil long enough for the angels to show up?
And we think, ain't nobody here, I'm all by myself. Y'all ain't seen nobody to help me. I'm all by myself. Y'all ain't forgot about me.
Because you ain't fought the devil long enough. Why need you show up for? Take care of your business. I'm right over here, behind that tree over here. I'm trying to see what you're going to do. Oh, okay. Oh, look at okay. All right. All right. When they get finished, I'm going to show up. Because you know it's a different fight when your big brother show up. You know, everybody get bad. My big brother.
Yeah, come on, fool. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We bad.
What you say? Oh, you say we? Yeah, my big brother back there. No. Let me see you fight without your brother. Let me see you fight without him. Or let me see you fight when you don't know he's there. Like, I'm still here, but I'm going to hide behind this tree because I want to see what you're going to do without me. Then I show up. But I got you the whole time. If you start losing, I'm in.
You know what I'm saying? But I need to see what you're going to do. If he fight for you all the time, when you ever going to learn how to fight? How you going to learn if he fight every battle for you? What kind of warrior are you going to be? What kind of soldier are you going to be? He can't fight all your battles. You got to fight sometime. Did you finish that, brother?
Yes, sir. I was also going to say, the effort that you put in also changes whether you know that he's standing there or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you by yourself, hey, you going to fight like it ain't nobody's business. But if you know big brother that'll jump in, hey, man, Stone will start losing, he's going to jump in.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that, brother. The baptism was clearly the beginning of Yahshua's ministry, even though we find him with extraordinary abilities at the age of 12. We also have to take notice that his understanding at the age 12 was not instantaneous, so he grew in wisdom little by little. After his baptism, he immediately received the words of Yahweh saying that this was his son. He also immediately received the undivided attention of the adversary. We must take note that the adversary did attempt to kill the body of the young child before he became a grown man, but he himself did not show up until after the baptism. Let's go to Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12, and let's read verses 15 through 23.
Verse 15. But when Yahshua knew it, he withdrew himself from thence, and great multitudes followed him. And he healed them all, and charged them that they should not make him known.
Charged them that they should not make him known. Like my brother said earlier, the spirits all knew him. He told them, don't explain to them who I am. Don't tell them. They said, we know you. We know who you are. Keep your mouth closed and come out of her. Come out of him. But stop talking. Don't tell them who I am. They don't need to know who I am. Go ahead.
That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Esaias the prophet, saying, Behold my servant, whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased.
In whom my soul is well pleased. Go ahead.
I'll put my spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles.
Right. And those adversaries of the New Testament will then say that all of these things was fulfilled in Isaiah, dealing with Maher-Shalal-Hashbaz, and all of those things. So they have a real problem with the Messiah, or they'll either say that it was definitely a situation where Joseph laid with Mary to make the child. One way or another, they have to go against Yahshua. Go ahead.
He shall not strive, nor cry, neither shall any man hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed shall he not break, and smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment unto victory. And in his name shall the Gentiles trust.
Right. And this does not come forth until Yahshua starts setting up all of these things. Okay? You talk about Old Testament, the word wasn't open unto the Gentiles like that. Very few Gentiles could even go near one of our temples like that without having a problem. Now, this word is being opened up unto them. That wasn't fulfilled during Isaiah's time. But see, we'll take part of a prophecy and try to attach all those other things to it. Go ahead.
Then was brought unto him one possessed with a devil, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spake and saw. And all the people were amazed and said, Is not this the son of David?
Right. Is not this the son of David? Understand, the kingship follows the king of Israel. It follows the house of David. Read this. Now, this is what we read in 2 Samuel chapter 7. I want you to go back over and read those things. Y'all don't have to turn there. Y'all go to Hebrews chapter 10 while he's reading 2 Samuel chapter 7.
And verse 12. And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers. I will set up your seed after you,
All right, now this is the promise that he's giving to David. Read.
which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I'll establish his kingdom.
Uh-huh.
He shall build an house for my name,
He shall build an house for my name. Go ahead.
and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son.
Right. So then now we're talking about a physical house to be built from his seed, but we have to understand what kind of a house he's talking about. Let's go to Hebrews 10. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, when he comes into the world, he saith, Sacrifice and offering you would not, but a body have you prepared me.
A body have you prepared me. Now let's go to John chapter 2. So now we see this thing of a body that was prepared. A body was prepared for what? A body was prepared to hold the Spirit of Israel. John chapter 2. And let's read verses 13 through 21.
And the Yehudis' Passover was at hand, and Yahshua went up to Jerusalem, and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them that sold doves, Take these things hence, make not my father's house an house of merchandise. And his disciples remembered that it was written, The zeal of your house has eaten me up.
The zeal of your house has eaten me up. Meaning I want the things to go the way that they are written so much in Yahweh's house that it has consumed me. This is what I'm constantly about. Go ahead.
Then answered the Yehudis and said unto him, What sign showeth you unto us, seeing that you doeth these things? Yahshua answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up.
Of course, he's going way over their head because now they're dealing with the physical house. Go ahead.
Then said the Yehudis, 46 years was this temple in building, and will you rear it up in 3 days?
How you going to build this in 3 days? It took 46 years to put this together. He's talking about a different building. What building is he talking about? Go ahead.
But he spake of the temple of his body.
He spake of the temple of his body. So then you have to start then putting these bits and pieces together. David was told, from your loins, your son is going to build me a house. So automatically they're thinking about another temple. The house that David built was Yahshua. That house that was built to hold the Spirit of Israel. That was the house. That's why he's talking about the temple of his body. Yahshua didn't build another temple. What temple did Yahshua build? He didn't build no temple. Slow-mo physically built the temple. That's why everybody looking at him. Yahshua built a better one. By this one, we all have redemption. See, we on some different level type stuff now. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 2. People said the Star of David. The Star of David is Yahshua. No Star of David. People walking around with a star on their neck.
But I'm an Israelite. No, you're not. The Star of David is Yahshua. That is the seed that built the house to hold the spirit of Israel.
Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 1. And you has he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience.
Right. The spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. This is how the adversary pushes forth his teachings. The prince over the power of the air. And pretty much everything that we see on television or radio is influenced by him. There was a time when rap was first brought out. Almost every rapper had spent some time in college. You used to see everybody walking around with African medallions. It was a situation where hip hop was cultural. Then the Jewish got control of rap music, and everything turned to murder, death, kill. We thought that was our decision. We didn't make that decision. The person who's credited with creating the first gangster rap group, NWA, is a Jewish man called Jerry Heller. He is credited with creating gangster rap. And he's a little bit of Jewish white man. You can grab him and put him in your pocket. But he created gangster rap. A lot of people don't know that. A Rolling Stone magazine named him the creator of gangster rap. And now everything is murder, death, kill. How many people you can kill before the song is over? How many people you can fornicate with before the song is over? How many people can get naked before the end of these 3 minutes and 33 seconds? That came from other entities. And all of the people who are in control in the music industry, watch all the Jewish names that pop up on the end of an album. When the movie go off, sit right there and watch the credits and watch all the Jewish names that go across the screen. And then you hear about all the god-awful stories that all of those people had to do to get those jobs. You got one Jewish man that has basically raped and molested over 75% of Hollywood, and he has been getting away with it for decades. How? These are stars. These are people who have Oscars, yet they've been molested and raped by the same man? This is a system. Go ahead.
Among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and whereby nature the children of wrath, even as others. But Elohim, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, has quickened us together with the Mashiach. By grace you are saved.
And by quicken, this has given us life. Okay, go ahead.
And has raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in the Mashiach Yahshua, that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness toward us through the Mashiach Yahshua. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast.
Right. It's not animal sacrifice that causes us to be able to have the atonement to put us back in the right place of Yahweh our Elohim. It is the offering of Yahshua dying and giving his own blood that gives us the atonement. So there's no other animal sacrifice. There's no other thing that's going to be better than a sinless man. We don't have a better offering to give. So now we have to have faith because it's something that you can't do with your own hands. Yet we got to Passover and we got somebody asking us if we're going to sacrifice a baby lamb. I'm going to need you to baby lamb the hell out of here. That's what I'm going to need you to do. Because I don't know what book you read, man. We ain't sacrificing no baby lambs over here, bro. Go ahead.
For we are his workmanship, created in Yahshua HaMashiach unto good works, which Elohim has before ordained that we should walk in them. Wherefore remember that you being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, were called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in flesh made by hands.
Right, and those that have a problem with the Gentiles being able to enter into this word, it's whole parts of this book that they got to ignore. Because see, right now he is separating the circumcision from the uncircumcision. The circumcision is the people of Israel. The uncircumcision is the Gentiles. He is allowing both of them in the word. Yet you listen to some of these brothers that's out on the street hollering and screaming at everybody. They say the Gentiles can't be a part of this word. So they got to ignore like whole books for them to keep that doctrine. Go ahead.
That at that time you were without the Mashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without Elohim in the world. But now Yahshua HaMashiach, you who sometimes were afar off, are made near by the blood of the Mashiach. For he is our peace, who has made both one and has broken down the middle wall of partition between us.
And understand, it always had to be that way. In the beginning, it was Adam, man, who sinned. There wasn't no Israel, wasn't no law. There was no situation where he has chosen a family at this point. He has to redeem all man. All man come from Adam. He can't just redeem Israel. What kind of sense does that make? He had to wait, produce a holy family, and then bring forth a savior out of that holy family. That's why he couldn't redeem Adam or man right away. I got to take care of this situation right now. But it's going to take a time for me to find a king, bring forth a seed out of him, then bring forth a Messiah, then bring forth a body out of that Messiah. And then I'll have something that is significant enough for my son to enter into that body and fix the fall that happened with Adam. You know how much time that took? He couldn't do that right away. Go ahead.
Having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of two one new man, so making peace. And that he might reconcile both unto Elohim in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby, and came and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them that were near. For through him we both have access by one Spirit unto the Father.
We both have access by one Spirit unto the Father. People teaching that the Gentiles can't deal with Yahweh. What book they read? Go ahead.
Now therefore you are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints, and of the household of Elohim, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yahshua HaMashiach himself being the chief cornerstone.
He's the chief cornerstone of this building. Go ahead.
In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth onto an holy temple in the Adonai.
Once again, he is the chief cornerstone of the temple. Remember, he ain't built no building. Okay? It says what about the temple anyway? He says even when it goes to a situation of where all the males go to make their appearance, he says you go to a place where I chose to place my name there. I place Israel in the body of Yahshua. That's the temple, where that spirit is. Go ahead.
In whom you also are built together for an habitation of Elohim through the Spirit.
You are a habitation of Elohim through the Spirit. Now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Back one. Maybe two. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, and let's read verses 8 through 17.
Verse 8. Now he that plants and he that waters are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. For we are laborers together with Elohim. You are Elohim's husbandry. You are Elohim's building.
You are Elohim's building. So Yahshua has created a building. He used the seed of Dawid to bring forth a body. That body then held the spirit of Israel, who was then sacrificed for his creation. Remember, it says, let us create man, not me. So the whole time we're looking for a physical building, the building was him. Go ahead.
According to the grace of Elohim, which is given unto me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another builds thereon. But let every man take heed how he builds thereupon.
Right. You can't just come and teach any old doctrine because it sounds good to you. You start building on something and that ain't right, you're going to get dealt with. Even Yahshua had to learn and wait on his growth. At 12, he's just getting his feet wet. He is now asking questions. He is now learning from people older than him, who's been in the word longer than him. So at the time that he gets his baptism, understand, he has physically learned some things. He ain't just starting. Go ahead.
For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahshua HaMashiach. Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
The fire shall try every man's work. Wood, hay, and stubble gets consumed in the fire. Precious metal does not. You can't burn up precious metal. All it does is refine precious metal. So are you precious metal or are you wood, hay, and stubble? When that fire get near you, do you just get consumed? I can't take it no more. That's it? Oh, okay, that's wood. That's wood right there. That wood, that's all that is, that wood. But when that fire hits you, are they able to go back with a polishing cloth and then you gleam? Oh, well, you precious metal, baby. That's the only thing that stay. Precious metal is what stay. Wood, hay, and stubble is temporary. Go ahead.
If any man's work abide, which he has built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burnt, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. Know you not that you are the temple of Elohim?
Now, here it goes. We go from one thing, from Yahshua being the temple, and now you being baptized in his name. Guess what you have entered into? Go ahead.
And that the spirit of Elohim dwells in you? If any man defile the temple of Elohim, him shall Elohim destroy. For the temple of Elohim is holy, which temple you are.
Right. And do we understand that when we get right down to it? Now, when we understand the whole process of what was done with preserving a seed for the body of Yahshua, we have to deal with this process of what we would call today artificial insemination. Artificial insemination, the seed is frozen to be used at a later date. The manna that fell from heaven was given only to the children of Israel during the wilderness journey. If the manna was kept overnight, it bred worms and melted, with the exception of the manna of the sixth day. If the manna melted after one day, how did the manna remain in the ark to be kept forever? The manna from heaven was commanded to be kept up for other generations and placed in the ark. The other items to be placed in the ark were Aaron's rod that budded, which was a symbol of power, and the book of the testimony. Yahshua stated that he was the true manna from heaven. Can Yahweh, the maker of man, not preserve a seed as he preserved something that melted in one day, yet lasted for thousands of years in another place? As it is written, the first man was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening or living spirit. It was declared unto Pharaoh, Israel is my son, even my firstborn son. Let my son go, that he may serve me. Yahweh made all flesh, but the nation of Israel were created to represent Israel, the son of Yahweh. As it is written, let us make man, and the man that fell must be restored by the creator that created him. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to John chapter 1. John chapter 1. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim.
So when you start understanding that, then you start understanding Israel being placed in this body and having to come be offered up for the creation that he helped create. The Word was with Elohim. It says, let us make man. So this house that was built, Yahweh is speaking to Dawid about, I'm going to use your seed to build this house. He was still probably thinking a natural house just like everybody else. He wasn't thinking that he would use his seed to bring forth a body that's going to hold the spirit of Israel, that is then going to rule the entire earth. And everybody is going to be set forth in righteousness through his atonement. He probably wasn't thinking on that level. That was probably way over his head at that point. Everything that Yahweh is doing, please don't think you're going to understand it. If you think you're going to understand everything that Yahweh is doing at the time he's doing it, he ain't going to be able to do much with you. Even as we read the things about Yohanan, Yohanan is the one who baptized Yahshua. They asked him, are you Elias? He said no. Yahshua said he was Elias. He just didn't know it. If you think you're going to understand everything of Yahweh, you can go ahead and limit your travels right now. Go ahead.
You know, when you look at this verse 1, because all you see is what they have typed here is God, 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 it makes no sense if you're not reading it in the right context. If you look and see the word was with Yahweh, and then you see the next one is Israel, then you understand that you've got Yahweh, who's the main Elohim, and then you got Yahshua, who becomes or is Elohim over man. So that's when you see these God, God, they're both Elohims, but one is the main Elohim.
Well, see, brother, that's why we ended up with a doctrine of, if you listen on Sunday morning, nobody ever thanks God. All they say, thank you, Jesus. Why? Because they substituted Lord in for all three of them. So they don't know the difference. Unless somebody point out that one is all capital, capital L, capital O, capital R-D, that was Yahweh. One capital L, O-R-D, that was Yahshua. One lowercase L-O-R-D, that just meant Adonai, a master. But if you take the same word and you use it for three different words, you see how confusing that got to the people? So instead of doing, nobody ever thanks the Father. His whole thing, he says, I came to do the will of my Father. That what I do is not my own. What they'll do? Thank you, Jesus. So the daddy didn't do nothing? Just the son. And the daddy didn't do nothing. First of all, you got the wrong name for the son. Okay? So you're already thinking the wrong entity. But then you're not even going to deal with whose power he came in. You know how disrespectful it is if Kish comes through and pays your rent and you come through and say, thank you, Kish. Wait a minute, that's his son. His son ain't got no money. He ain't paying no damn bill. Kish paid the bill. How the hell you thinking his son? He ain't got no money, he ain't got no job. Okay? How you think him? He ain't got no bank account. But you thinking his son? He got the money from his daddy. You're thinking the wrong way. Go ahead.
Verse 2, the same was in the beginning with Elohim.
The same was in the beginning with Elohim. See, they want to create one entity. Go ahead.
All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made.
Right. So when it come down to the point of, hey, Father, when the Mashiach says, is there any other way? He wanted to see if there's any other way for me to redeem this creation except going through all that. No, you got to go through this, son.
You got to set this right. Go ahead.
In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from Elohim, whose name was Johanan. The same came for a witness to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light.
And to bear witness of the light, he had to come before the light. See? So this woman is withheld from having a child, not because of anything that she has done wrong. Her child needed to be born at a certain time because your son is the only one on earth that can baptize him. So I'm sorry, my dear servants, you will not have a child until y'all well stricken in age because I need your baby to baptize him. That is his job. Imagine the surprise to this man when an angel says, your prayers have been answered. What prayers are that? You remember you asked about your wife. She was barren, remember? You talking about 40 years ago? You praying, right? I stopped praying that prayer. No, but it just came to me. Why is it just not coming to you now? Right, because time right now. See, this ain't about you. See? Sometimes you got to learn to take you out of the circle. See, you in the circle too much. No, I need you. You said you was a servant, right? Well, I need you to serve then. This is how I need you to serve. I need you to have this boy at this time so this boy can baptize that boy. That's your job. Go ahead.
That was the true light, which lights every man that comes into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not.
Now, you know how confusing this is if you don't know nobody but Jesus? You have any idea how confusing this is when you don't know who Israel is, you don't know who Yahweh is, you don't know that there's levels to that. You know how confusing this is? Now, he really does seem like a ventriloquist. This is my son whom I'm well pleased, and it is myself, so I'm pleased in myself. You know how confusing this got to be? Go ahead.
He came unto his own, and his own received him not.
Right, his own. You named after Israel. Israel comes into a body, and you declare that Israel must be killed. Ooh, when you put that side by side, it seems absolutely dastardly. You named after him. And it was us that declared he must die. Ooh. Right. Go ahead, bro.
But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of Elohim, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Elohim.
Right. These people had a second birth. They got baptized in Yeshua's name. See? They had a second birth. Go ahead.
And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us.
The word was made flesh and dwelt among us. If you don't go through all of the things that we went through before, this don't make no sense. You got a whole nother doctrine. Read this first. There's a reason why we read things in order. If I started out with this, we'd have 8 different gods we worshiping by the end of this class. Folks done came up with all kind of stuff. Because they didn't understand all the things that came before that. You can't just jump to the middle of a book and start reading. Y'all don't jump to the middle of your favorite TV show. Somebody come in, y'all be like, well, you keep talking, rewind that, I missed that. Oh, y'all serious about missing y'all show? Oh, wait a minute. You can't talk when that flower meant something. What did the flower? Why did it have one petal on the ground? Why was that there? Back up, baby, I missed that. But you think you can start in the middle of the book and think you understand something. You ain't gonna understand nothing. Go ahead.
And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Johanan bare witness of him, and cried, saying, This was he of whom I spake. He that comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me.
Because he was before me. Look, Johanan was born before him. Johanan was older than him, naturally. But Johanan was like, he is before me because he is the creator of all things. He just entered into this body. So I know it seemed like I was older than him, but he was much older than me. That's who the adversary, the devil, was fighting with, not the body of Yahshua. He's fighting with the spirit of Israel. They know each other very well. Go ahead.
And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moshe, but grace and truth came by Yahshua HaMashiach. No man has seen Elohim at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him.
You got to understand, even when people say that they were in the presence of Elohim, they were in the presence of an angel who spoke in the name of Elohim, which in itself, depending on the power of that angel, it was very, very strong. Moshe, being in the presence of the angel of Elohim, receiving those oracles, after a while, Moshe's countenance began to change. You can't spend that much time with a God and not become one. His whole physical look was changing to the point where he scared the rest of the children of Israel. They're like, dude, you know your face glowing? Bro, please don't come back over here, man. Either stay with God or stay with us. Do something, bro, because we can't deal with the glowing face, man. So they so afraid, he got to cover himself. What was happening? The more time he spent with the angel of Yahweh, the more it changed him. So how we walk in the word for 10, 12 years, and we still the same as we were the day we showed up. What time you done spent with it? How you the same? How you got the same thoughts? How you look at the same scripture the same way 12 years later? Right. Go ahead, bro.
And this is the record of Yohanan, when the Yehudis sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, "I am not the Mashiach." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elias?" And he says, "I am not."
He said, "I am not." That's all that he knew. Yahshua said, yes, he was. He didn't know the spirit that was dealing with him. He was just being led to do a job. He didn't worry about all of that. He just did the job that he was led to do. Everybody else want to figure out. They had a dude show up here and say he was the third Elijah. Yet he was dressed like Pharaoh. I said, that is the most confused Elijah. Maybe that's why you the third one. I don't know. You confused as hell. So was Elijah Pharaoh? I mean, he had the little candy canes and everything, the little hooks. And on one, wait, wasn't he on the internet with the little hooks and everything? So what's wrong with this dude, man? You Elijah, but you dress like Pharaoh? Here it is, this man coming in the spirit of Elijah, yet it's not proclaiming any of that. He's just doing his job. So, as the word says, be careful, for some of you have entertained angels unawares. Be careful. Least you deal with something in the wrong way, and that thing was ordained by Yahweh. Now you have fought against the Holy Spirit. You're going to receive loss for that. Ain't no way I didn't know what I was doing. Hey, the man that put his hand on the ark when it tipped over, he thought he was doing a good job. But that was Yahweh's seed. And the angel killed him right there. He didn't mean to do no harm. He was just following his heart. He thought it was a good thing. Oh, don't fall. That's Yahweh stuff. He said, oh man, kill him. He didn't mean no harm. He had good intentions. But his good intention didn't follow the word. See, had he remembered the law, that's his seed. Don't touch it. Had he remembered that law, the goodness that was in his heart would have went to the law first, then to his deeds. So instead of going straight to touching it, his thought process would have been like, oh, this is a holy seed. Oh, no, don't do that. If it's going to fall, let it fall. I ain't going to touch it. This is when your instructions kick in. But when you just go, what I think, feel, and believe, he felt like it was a good thing to try to hold it over when it looked like it was going to fall. Bad idea. Go ahead.
Are you that prophet? And he answered, No. Then said they unto him, Who are you? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What saith you of yourself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Adonai, as said the prophet Esaias. And they which were sent were of the Pharisees. And they asked him, and said unto him, Why baptize you then, if you be not that Mashiach, nor Elias, neither that prophet?
Stop. You have a whole doctrine preached by these purple people who be out on the corner hollering at everybody, telling them to take off their kufis and everything. And they talking about they don't believe in baptism. Listen what the doctors of the law, the Pharisees, said. They didn't say that they didn't believe in baptism. What they did was question Yohanan, if you are not Christ, why are you baptizing? So automatically, they knew at some point there was going to be a baptism, but it would have to come from Christ. It would have to come from the Mashiach. So they saying, yeah, it's supposed to be a baptism, but you ain't supposed to be the one that's doing it. So are you the Mashiach? He said, no, I'm not. Well, if you're not the Mashiach, why are you baptizing? Yet you got these Pharisees running around here talking about ain't no such thing as baptism. Yet the real Pharisees even understood that there was going to be a baptism. Check that out. Go ahead.
Yohanan answered them, saying, I baptize with water.
They're going to tell you ain't no baptism with water, so you read the word, see? And then once you read the word, you baptize by the word. That's a lie. Go ahead.
But there stands one among you, whom you know not. He it is, who coming after me is preferred before me, whose shoes latchet I am not worthy to unloose. These things were done in Beth Arbara, beyond Jordan, where Yohanan was baptizing. The next day Yohanan sees Yahshua coming on to him, and said, Behold the Lamb of Elohim, which taketh away the sin of the world.
Right. He has a job to do. Yohanan was born for this purpose. He was born for this. Can't nobody else do this job but him. Nobody in the temple. Nobody in the priesthood. Nobody. He the only one that can do this job. Go ahead.
This is he of whom I said, After me comes a man, which is preferred before me, for he was before me.
And do understand now, this man is born within the priesthood because his father's a priest. So do understand now, Yohanan ain't just some dude that you know what I'm saying, that he picked up, you know, hanging out at the market. Understand, this man is the son of a priest. Understand something now. So even when Yahweh do some things, it's got some order to it. He just ain't working at their temple. Go ahead.
You know, you got to think about even Yohanan dealing in the way he deals. He's not dealing in the flesh. It's the spirit. Because that had that big, yo, they got my cousin.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Gave him the reverence of what he is.
You got it. Go ahead, bro.
And I knew him not, but that he should be made manifest to Israel. Therefore am I come baptizing with water. And Yohanan bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it aboded upon him.
This is a whole different entity at this point. This is the Spirit of Elohim coming down upon him, and he changed in nature. Then Yahweh shows up, and then the adversary of the devil shows up. Right back to back. Go ahead.
And I knew him not, but he that sent me to baptize with water, the same said unto me, Upon whom you shall see the Spirit descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptizes with the Holy Spirit.
Right. The same whom you see. So he had already been told, look, when you see the Spirit descend and stay there, know that's who I've chosen. Now go on out and do your job. Go ahead.
And I saw and bear record that this is the Son of Elohim.
Now I know of a surety. I ain't got to guess and think and feel and believe, because I saw with my own eyes as he was baptized. I seen what happened as that Spirit then descended upon him. So when we deal with this thing about the temple, we have to understand that it was the seed of David that was used to build the house. And a lot of times people, you know, go into all of these things and say, you know, that was a curse placed among the kings. Well, if he used the direct seed of David, he would bypass every curse that the kings of Israel got, because those curses didn't start until after Shlomo. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.